All right, another Monday, another opportunity to just give up on everything in life. Everything except this show. The Swap, where we help you get those DraftKings lineups set and ready to make some money. That's important too.
This depressing guy is Emerson. I'm Jessie, and this is our NFL panel. DK Live's Jeff Ulrich and Reed Fowler, plus a special treat for all of us, the fantasy girl herself, Rosalie Michaels.
All right, so we'll get to those Monday Night Football Showdown picks later in the show. Yes, I'm talking to all of you on YouTube and Facebook who complain about that. But where we start is NFL Spin Move. That's when we put a fantasy spin on the league's top stories.
Starting with Tyreek Hill telling Peter King his foot injury is bad. Adam Schefter is reporting it's not serious and Hill is day-to-day. He is questionable for Thursday night's potential pivotal AFC West showdown against the Chargers. So, Jeff, how much do you like KC as a 3-point home favorite against LA, even if Tyreek doesn't go?
Well, first of all, I think everyone was willing to give up until they saw Rosalie was on the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good thing for Monday, right? Way to get it going here. Got some good advice coming from at least one person.
Exactly.
Now, look, I mean, this is an interesting spot. I mean, the Chargers have been a really, really good road team. Last four road games the Chargers have been, they've covered and they've won. So it's hard for me to really put them down in this spot. 3 points does not sound like much against a team like the Chiefs, who obviously they win by some big margins sometimes. But Tyreek Hill, a little bit questionable. This is a tough one. I think this point spread is about accurate right now. I'm not exactly sure which side I'd take. I think if it stayed at 3, I'd probably go with the Chiefs. But if it gets any bigger, Chargers look pretty attractive considering their recent run they've been on the road. So really take a look at Tyreek Hill. If he's healthy, like I said, it might push me over towards the Chiefs, but that's going to be a big injury to look this week, in my opinion, because he plays a big role, even if he's just a decoy.
Rosalie, does Tyreek Hill matter that much to you in this line?
Tyreek Hill matters a lot to me, but not in this line at all. I'm going to disagree with Jeff here. I think that point spread should be bigger. I mean, Kansas City just looks so good. 3 points, easy. If you look at their last 5 matchups, Kansas City has owned the Chargers in all of those. And the closest game spread was 6 points. So it doesn't matter if it's home or if it's away, if Tyreek Hill is in or not. Let's look at this past week where the Chargers did win by 3 points, but that was going up against the best defense in the league. If you look at the Chargers last game against Cincinnati, which is the worst defense in the league, they barely pulled that one out. So I have a lot more confidence in the Chiefs here in this game, and I think the point spread should be bigger.
Reed, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Rosalie here, and I like Jeff's 5 o'clock shadow. I think he's coming out with a new look there, being a little bit more rugged, more hair here.
Handsome.
So I appreciate that, Jeff. No, look, I agree with Rosalie. Yeah, I agree with Rosalie here. I think, look, Tyreek Hill actually is someone that really is a difference maker. I think that's Captain Obvious here. Like, look what happened with OBJ being out, right? That line only moved 0.5. I think when you have a guy like Tyreek Hill, especially someone that Patty Mahomes really keens in on, that's going to be tough, right? He stretches that field, he opens it up, and especially with Spencer Ware and Damian Williams, not so much as integral in terms of the success of this team as we initially thought. When Spencer Ware got that starting job, I think this is going to be something that we really have to look at. These division games are always played really hard. The Chargers, one of the hotter teams that we've seen this season, but the Chiefs are 8-4 against the spread. These guys can win, any which way they want. I think Patrick Mahomes is playing amazing football. He is the answer. Even though if Hill can't play, even if he's limited, Patrick Mahomes is the guy that you want, obviously, with the hand in his ball. And if he has that, especially with Travis Kelce being healthy, I think this line is nice, especially if it stays at 3.
Reed, Amari Cooper appears to be worth every cent Dallas paid to acquire him, and he's a major reason why the Cowboys have ripped off 5 straight wins and have a death grip now in the NFC East. However, the odds makers could not care less. Dallas is a 3-point underdog to the Colts, who have won 6 of their last 7. So how accurate is this spread?
I think it's pretty good. I think when you look at this Dallas team, yeah, they won 5 in a row. Again, look at that Philly game. I really don't think they should have won that game. You look at Amari Cooper and this team, they really got it going in that third and fourth, or the second half, especially in that fourth quarter and overtime. But Dak was sacked. He had a couple of turnovers that were ill-advised. And if it wasn't for that secondary being totally banged up, missing some coverages, I don't think Dallas wins that game. And if you look at Dallas, going to an Indy team, they're averaging 32 points at home. Dallas is only averaging 20 points on the road. So when you look at these two teams, both teams playing really, really good football, I think this line is nice. Dallas, winning 5, especially now having a good handle on their division, and Indy still needing to win, right? Still need to fight for that wild card spot, getting closer to Houston. I think that this line is nice, and especially for the Indy side.
Does this make sense to you too, Jeff?
No, the line definitely makes sense. I'd lean towards Dallas right now, and I think that given the popularity of the Cowboys, you might see this dip under 3. This might get to like -2 or something, -1.5, just because the Cowboys tend to be a popular bet with the public. And I do like them in the spot, though. I mean, look, this is a very good defensive team. They have outside corners in Byron Jones, someone who can take away the T.Y. Hilton option a little bit. I don't think you're going to see him go nuts like he did against the Houston secondary. So 2 very even teams. I mean, look, Andrew Luck, Colts are very underrated. I'm not shocked to see this line at 3, and I think that's pretty much accurate. It's just basically saying the Colts have the home field advantage. They get 3 points. I expect a close game. I lean towards Dallas. I just feel like with the mix of Amari Cooper, Zeke Elliott, they're a hard team to stop right now, which sounds a little ridiculous, but they're really taking advantage of the addition of Cooper. So like the Cowboys, but this spread sounds about right to me, to be honest.
Yeah, Cowboys probably don't mind it too much because they've really been thriving in that underdog role the past 2 months. But what do you think, Rosalie? 3-point underdogs in Indianapolis?
I think I'm disagreeing with these guys a little bit. I mean, it's really tight line, right? I think the only reason that the Colts are actually favored here is because they're the home team, right? The Cowboys, if you look at what they've been doing lately, and you look at what the Colts have been doing lately, it's kind of flip-flopped. Cowboys defense has been really solid all year, and especially right now, they really are peaking. They're 2nd in the league right now, and 3rd against the run, 8th against the pass. So it's really hard to do both against this defense. Of course, we did see Philly do a little bit of that last night. But when you look at what they're giving up and what they're doing the past few games, with Cooper, the 2 away games that the Cowboys have had, they've scored 27 against Philly and 22 against Atlanta. So they are scoring a lot more points, obviously, with Cooper than they were without. Because before that, any away game, they couldn't get over 20 points. So this is a new Dallas offense. They're not getting quite the respect they deserve yet, but I think they're getting there. So I think this is a great time to take Dallas and the points.
Rosalie, the Redskins decide to go with Josh Johnson at quarterback. They're taking on an equally struggling Jaguars team in Jacksonville.
You didn't have to mention that, but I guess
the Jags are 7-point favorites,
Whoa,
Emerson. What?
I'm listening.
The game total is 36.
Yeah.
Can they possibly go over, Rosalie?
God, this is just an ugly, 2 ugly teams right now.
Yeah.
Really can't score any points. You look at over the last 3 weeks, Jacksonville's scoring 12 points a game. 12.
Ugh.
And on the year now, they're at 16.3. So do I think this game total is going to go over 36? No, Washington's not doing any better. 17.3 points a game over the past few weeks as well. So no, I don't think this goes over. I think the defenses, if there's some defensive scores, it might, but this is going to be a terrible game. I'm not watching it. Not over 30.
Jeff, is there any chance this game goes over 36?
Just before I get to that, I just need to correct myself on that last segment. I see the Cowboys spread actually getting bigger, so the Cowboys are plus. What? No, they're. I was right the first time. My God.
Dude, you're fine, bro.
You're fine.
You're fine. No one's paying
Monday.
attention.
Like I just got up a couple hours ago.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
Okay.
Where are
but
you?
anyways, Redskins, Jacksonville. I'm just, now I'm all flustered. Okay. I actually kind of like the over here. These are 2 terrible run defenses. Josh Johnson's an upgrade over Sanchez. I think Fournette's going to go off in this game. I could see him getting 100 yards. Redskins can't stop anyone. If this drops to like 35, I think I would take the over here. Not really something that you're looking forward to, but you got to make the games exciting. 36 is nothing. I kind of like the over. I don't know why. Maybe I'm crazy, but.
Reed, is Jeff hallucinating right now, or do you possibly agree with him?
Yes, I am actually, but.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite segments. I love when Jeff just goes off on a tangent there. I appreciate it, especially on a Monday. No, I mean, God, 36, right? Again, I go back to this. If you said in Week 15 we're going to be talking about Cody Kessler and Josh Johnson as starting quarterbacks in the NFL, I would have laughed in your face. But here we are, right, talking about Emerson's Jaguars yet again. for I don't know what reason. But there's no way. There's no way these guys are going over, because if we saw what happened to Washington, it was Saquon Barkley over two quarters absolutely trounced this team. And I'm not saying that the Jacksonville running backs are anywhere near Saquon Barkley, but all you have to do against this team is run the ball. And Cody Kessler is not going to be asked to throw more than 15 times. Both of these teams, Jacksonville's pace of play is obviously higher than Washington's, but they're both slow teams when they have to be. So no way. 36, I'm going under.
Neither of these defenses tackle anymore. Like if you, I mean, there's going to be some points. I don't know.
Yes,
but you have to have an offense that's going to do something. They have both forgotten how to play offense.
To the untrained eye, it would appear the Jaguars knew what they were doing on one series against the Titans.
That was just one.
And also,
Reed, for about 5 seconds.
Reed, if you have a problem talking about the Jaguars, about 10 feet around the corner from your desk is producer Tom Glennon. So why don't you take it up with him, bud? Okay, this has nothing to do with me.
Wow.
All right, anyway, on a positive note, Ben Roethlisberger was in and out of the Steelers' third straight loss on Sunday. This one coming in Oakland, but Big Ben promising after the game he'd play against the Patriots, who suffered their own devastating loss in Miami. Let's say he does suit up here, Jeff. You like him against the New England defense that's been brutal on the road and just made Ryan Tannehill look like Dan Marino?
Yeah, I do, and I think I got the last segment right. So let's try and make
just
it brief
focus.
Here. I like Roethlisberger, even though he's a little bit banged up, and I think people are going to overlook him because of that. The Patriots, look, they kind of got gashed on the ground last week, but quarterbacks have been throwing a lot versus them, excluding last week. Tannehill threw like 19 times, but they've averaged like over 40 attempts for most of the season, and the Steelers don't really have a great ground game right now. They've obviously without James Conner, but even with James Conner, his last couple games weren't that productive. So I think Ben is going to have to air it out here. It's a massive game for the Steelers. I mean, they basically let the Ravens back into the division hunt. So I like Ben here. He's 6,600. He's going to be very under-owned, and I think the Steelers passing game is something that you're going to want to take a look at for fantasy this week.
I feel like this is just a storyline we hear of and deal with every season. At this point in the season, Big Ben's just banged up. Something's injured on him. Reed, would you consider playing this guy against the Patriots at home in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I would consider playing Big Ben. I think this is going to be a shootout, but I like the Patriots in this game. Look, both of these teams, right, coming in, Patriots don't do well in Miami. Brady's lost 5 of his last 6, and Big Ben cannot win in Oakland. I think he's 0-for. He's never won in Oakland. And so both of these teams come in this weird narrative previous week coming into now, but look at the Patriots. They've beaten the Steelers 5 of the last 6 times, a couple of those games in Pittsburgh. And at home, Pittsburgh's 3-3. And so I think Big Ben has to air it out. And this is weird, right? Steelers are never really known outside of like this year and last of being this like pass heavy team. They really had like Le'Veon Bell, James Conner. They've had really good running games, and their defense has been strong in the past. This is really not a Steelers team that we've been used to. So I like the Patriots in this game going home, even though it's back-to-back road games. But to Jeff's point, I think Big Ben has to throw the ball quite a bit. So I would play Ben.
Yeah, Rosalie, Reed makes a good point. It really doesn't really matter who the quarterback's going to be for Pittsburgh because they just can't seem to beat New England. But do you like Big Ben in this spot?
Yeah, I know Buchanan would be really upset with us talking about the history of things and how it doesn't matter. But you can only blame fate on what happened to the Patriots yesterday in Miami. That's fate happening right there. And when you talk about the Patriots have the Steelers number, they just own the Steelers all the time. But you know what? It doesn't take me off Ben at all. Patriots will win this game, but Ben's still going to have great fantasy points. Look, like the guys said, there's going to be a lot of pass attempts because that's what the Steelers do, and they'll have to do it to keep up with the Patriots points-wise. But Ben has only had 2 actual bad fantasy games this season. That was week 1 versus Cleveland and week 4 against a good Baltimore defense. Now, we do have to look at it. Pat's D did hold Kirk Cousins, who the Minnesota Vikings also like to throw the ball a lot, to only 10 DK fantasy points 2 weeks ago. But I think with the amount of volume that Ben goes with and that good price points, he's happily in my might play.
Home Ben, much better than road Ben.
True.
That's all I need to know.
True. All right, you guys are on break until the end of the show when we'll need your Monday Night Showdown picks. So please have them ready. But next, it's NBA Pick and Roll.
I'm Brendan Glasheen, and with your DraftKings Fantasy Flash, Vikings Seahawks wraps up Week 14 in the NFL. Let's discuss the Showdown Captain Contest, which features 2 NFC playoff teams, by the way. Adam Thielen, the most expensive player on this slate, $17,700 in the captain slot, $11,800 as a flex. The Seattle defense has allowed the 9th most DraftKings points to wideouts this season, and in 6 straight games, the Seahawks have let a single receiver log 100 yards. Stars included in that stretch: Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks, Devontae Adams, to name a few. So in some fashion, Thielen should wiggle into your lineups. Statistically, the Vikings have been pretty solid defensively, 3rd in total yards allowed, 5th in pass yards allowed, 10th in sacks. They're at the top of the NFL with just 15 passing touchdowns allowed. But Russell Wilson has been nothing short of spectacular in 2018. He's tossed multiple touchdowns in all but 1 of 12 games, no interceptions in 4 straight games. Wilson sits behind Thielen on this slate, $16,800 at captain, $11,200 at flex, compared to Kirk Cousins. Wilson, the absolute play tonight at quarterback. So both teams, more so the Vikings, need this game to stay above the playoff line. The defenses might be playing on their heels tonight.
Alrighty, an 11-game slate arrives tonight in the association, so lots to choose from. Not a lot of time before lineups lock here. So, to help you decide who to drop big money on, that's DK Live's Alex Reclean and Alex Monaco of the Sports Me app.
So it's NBA pick and roll, choosing between the following 2 players. Let's start with Jimmy Butler, who has been on fire as of late, more than 58 fantasy points in each of his last 2 games. He's going to cost you $7,900 tonight versus the Pistons. So do you like him or Drew Holiday for $100 as the Pelicans visit the Celtics, who will be without Kyrie Irving and Al Horford, among others? Alex, I'm sure his salary is not 100. I believe that meant to say 100 less right there.
For 100, I'll take him.
For 100, I'm taking him now.
Slate a brute pick.
Yeah.
I want Jimmy Butler. Remember that when the Celtics lose Kyrie Irving, they get better at defense. They're giving more time to Marcus Smart and more time to Terry Rozier. Kyrie has the 3rd highest on-court defensive rating amongst rotation players, whereas Smart and Rozier have the 2 lowest. And meanwhile, I've said this before, but Jimmy Butler is a high-usage player, and the longer he's on the 76ers team, the more his usage rate has increased. Over his first 5 games, his usage rate was 20%. Over his next 4, it went up to 22%. And over his last 3 games, his usage rate has gone up to 34%. I think this is his game. I think what we've seen these last 2 games from him is much closer to what we should expect going forward.
Monaco, he's not $100, but are you going to maybe save some cash here, or you want to pay up?
I mean, I'm kind of with Alex on this one. As much as I love the name Holiday in December, you're looking at the Pistons going on 3 games in 4 nights. Look at Jimmy the other night, 38 points. I know it was on 13 to 27 shooting, but to quote his teammate, owning real estate in not Andre's head, but Blake's. I know Blake's out tonight, but I like the matchup. And again, it comes down to timing a lot in the NBA. The Pistons, I mean, you saw what Holiday did the game before in Detroit. It's just a breeding ground for offense. So I gotta go with my fellow same name colleague here, Alex, on this one, and go Jimmy B's on a hot streak. Let's keep it rolling at the craps table, baby.
I love it.
Reclean, I'm going to go ahead and let you start again because you got the LeBron jersey behind you. But is it a LeBron night? You want King James against D. Wade for perhaps the last time? He was in a.
It's a LeBron night in terms of what you're putting on your TV, but not in your lineup.
All right, but let me say. Let me
I
add
expect
this, though.
LeBron James to care, and we all know that he's at the point in his career where his production is determined by how much he wants it. But it's worth noting that across his career, his stats versus Dwayne Wade are actually down in literally every single category. And when I say every single category, I mean including 2-point field goal percentage and offensive rebounds. Literally across the board, he does worse against Dwayne Wade. And I did control for the time that they were on the same team together. So for $600 less, I'd rather the more normal game with Durant against the Timberwolves. And by the way, Durant has more DKFP than LeBron over their last 5 games. So, although I'd rather Anthony Davis. Can I throw in a third name?
Yeah, go ahead, man. this is your show, bud. We're just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Mr. Monaco, what do you think? 10-7, you're going to pay up for LeBron? You're going to go $600 less? Durant?
You know, I got a theory when you're going against the ex, Jason, you're bringing a little more. We all saw what he did in South Beach the first time, 51 points. I mean, to quote Grand Theft Auto, the guy had 5 stars on Vice City night. Goodness gracious. Now we're going back to Staples. The energy's going to be in the air. You know, Pat Riley's coming to town. I think LeBron goes bananas, not to mention he's coming off a team he just played in Memphis that plays real defense. So, you know, and Miami's coming off a high, crushing the Clippers. I really think LeBron goes to Tinseltown tonight. I'm going LBJ.
Ooh. All right, guys, at center, Philly's Joel Embiid at 9,800, or Denver's Nikola Jokic
Yep,
at 9,300 versus Memphis. Racleen, where are you going with this one?
Again, I'm not my 2 favorite options on the slate, just with the amount of value we're getting from all of the people injured. But of these 2, I'd rather Joel Embiid, who does own space in Drummond's head. There's a little squeaky wheel syndrome with whatever controversy about what he did or didn't say to a reporter after the last game. This could be the last time they play this season. It will be the last time they play this regular season. And the last 2 times they played, Embiid put up 33-11 and 39-17, so not too shabby.
Monaco, you agree with that narrative? You like Embiid?
Alex is right there. This is an easy decision. Just to bring it back to November 7th, the Memphis Nuggets game was 89-87. Jokic had more turnovers than points. He sat out, maybe for breaking a Wedding Crashers rule last game, maybe not. I don't know. Either way, Embiid at home. It's just a breeding ground. Detroit plays no defense. There's no accountability. They're gonna feed him early, especially with Blake out. It's easy decision.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for your help. We appreciate it. Would like you to hang tight for Tears of Joy. That will be coming up after NHL Price Check with Benny Z, who has received a fresh haircut.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. Who'd I miss on with Adam Levitan comes your way in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, I'm Brendan Glasheen for DK Live. This is Who'd I Miss On with Adam Levitan. This is when we recap Levitan's not-so-great picks, his misses from Week 14. He was especially high on 3 players. Chris Godwin caught just 1 of 10 targets Sunday against the Saints. Nearly lost a fumble in this one, too. He and Jameis Winston just never connected here.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, Chris Godwin's usage was as expected. He essentially functioned as the 1B receiver right behind Mike Evans. He got a really good spot against a Saints team, which bottled up the Bucs run game as expected. But Jameis just didn't play very well and didn't give Chris Godwin very many opportunities at all. Almost all of those 10 targets were basically uncatchable. So I'm not too upset with the Chris Godwin play. Still think he's a really good player. It's just Jameis didn't have it yesterday.
Zach Ertz was underwhelming as well, Levy. 5 grabs, 38 yards, no scores in Philly's loss at Dallas. 8.8 DraftKings points. Ertz was targeted 8 times in the game. So what went wrong here?
Yeah, I think teams are starting to realize that Carson Wentz just has this obsession with Zach Ertz. And when you have a good defense like the Cowboys have, you are at least capable of focusing on him and taking a tight end like Ertz out of the game. We saw Dallas Goedert get a lot of plays where they were following Ertz and Goddard slipped in right behind Ertz. So I think the teams, good defenses, good coaches will continue to do this. The Eagles just don't have enough weapons on the outside. Golden Tate barely plays. Jordan Matthews isn't very good. Alshon Jeffrey is very slow, et cetera, et cetera. So you can easily pretty much focus on Ertz if you would like. And given how close he was in price to Kittle and Ebron and Kelsey, maybe Ertz was a mistake.
Last one, Broncos receiver Courtland Sutton didn't produce like you thought he would. 2 receptions on 6 targets, 14 yards receiving. 3 of those 6 targets, by the way, were in the red zone. And this was his first game as Denver's premier receiver since Emmanuel Sanders is out. So this was a pressure spot for him.
Yeah, and I was afraid that we wouldn't really see a role change for Courtland Sutton. He's just not capable of it, you know? So with Emmanuel Sanders going out, well, you're not going to ask Courtland Sutton to all of a sudden run a bunch of the routes which Emmanuel Sanders used to run. So from that perspective, maybe Courtland Sutton was not a great player. The guy who did get the role change was Deshaun Hamilton, who ended up with 9 targets, caught a touchdown. But I did think Courtland Sutton's target floor would be elevated. He just has such a bad catch rate all year then maybe it didn't matter. So not going down to Deshaun Hamilton and sticking with Cortland Sutton, given the 1,400 in savings, I think would have made sense a lot.
Okay, thanks, Levy.
All right, take care.
All right, that's it for Who'd I Miss On in Week 14 with Adam Levitan. You can find his coverage on DK Live, the DK Playbook, and on Twitter at Adam Levitan. We'll catch you next Monday to see who Levy missed on in Week 15.
You're as cold as ice and as sick as the flu. And
I do not have the
And
flu.
because of that, this segment is dedicated to you, Miss Coffield.
Wow.
And all of you at home looking for help with tonight's 4-game slate in the National Hockey League.
Sounds like a good time to bring in DK Live editor
Punch
Ben
'em up!
Wyman, who's here to play some price check with us.
There he is.
Trying to decide if the following players will return value on their salaries.
Gotta say, Ben, really love that haircut.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was a long time coming.
Yeah.
Really need to get rid of that hair.
It's about time. Okay, now to the important stuff. Sidney Crosby, second straight game with a price tag of $7,900, but he returned only 2 fantasy points in his last outing. So what makes you think he's worth the change tonight, or maybe you don't?
Yeah, I mean, Crosby is that price because he absolutely kills the Islanders in his career. So it doesn't really surprise me that he's the same price again, despite the poor performance the last game. But I'm not really on him tonight. I think there are better plays. Braden Point, for one, 7,100. Lightning Center, he's a better play. I'm looking at Evgeny Malkin a little bit at 6,500. He's a lot cheaper. Phil Kessel, they just bumped him onto Crosby's lines. He's 7,100. Also a better play. The thing is, the Islanders are playing at Nassau Coliseum, not Barclays Center tonight. That's a big thing. They really, really pump it up for the crowd on the island. I kind of think the Islanders are jacked up. They lost 6-2 to the Penguins the last time they faced them. I think they tightened it up on defense. It's what Barry Trotz does. I'm not really looking at Crosby too much. I think the price is high, and it's just not as good a spot as people think.
All right, reigning Hart Trophy winner Taylor Hall has just 1 goal in his last 7 games.
That's not ideal.
That's not great. So would you consider dropping $7,300 on him tonight at the Sharks?
Yeah, it's not a great spot. The price is fine. That's what Hall's going to be. He's a high-volume shooter. He's in on most of the Devils' offense, and the Devils' offense has actually been pretty good the last couple of games. 11 goals in their past 2 games against the Ducks and Kings. Tough road back-to-back, though. They played last night, lost in a shootout, so they should be tired. The thing is, if the Devils' offense keeps it going, Hall is going to be involved. So obviously, getting in on that is fine. And again, it's one of those tight slates, so a lot of people will be on the Sharks, a lot of people will be on the Penguins, a lot of people will be on the Lightning. So the Devils sort of go under the radar. They keep scoring, they're going to be a great GPP stack, so I think you have to consider Hall in that respect.
Hey, Ben, back on defense. Erik Karlsson has 15 fantasy points. Okay, all right, wait for it. In his last 2 games, or if you're going to want to roster him tonight, you're going to need to pay up $6,200. So share your thoughts with me on that price point, or if you like another guy. It didn't seem like you were super excited, or maybe you were?
Yeah, I mean, $6,200 for Karlsson, the way he's playing right now, is a great price. But, geez, Brent Burns is $5,900. I don't think Brent Burns has been this cheap on DraftKings in like 2 or 3 seasons. But again, back to Erik Karlsson. He's been great the past couple of games, 4 assists and 18 shots on goal in his past 4 games. He looks a lot like the Norris Trophy winner. They're using him on the first power play. Like I said before, the Devils are going to be tired. They just played a shootout loss last night against the Ducks. They're on the road. It's going to be tough. I think you can fit Karlsson in pretty easily at that price. Also, Burns, great price. You can stack both of them if you think the Sharks are going to score a ton of goals. The problem with Karlsson, though, I would worry a little bit about his ownership. Again, a lot of teams are going to be on the Sharks, so he'll be high-priced, more of a cash game play. But yeah, I mean, the price is great. You kind of have to go with him.
Finally, in goal, Louis Domingue is the top-priced goalie, and for good reason. He has 5 straight wins for Tampa, but is he worth $8,300 at home versus the Rangers tonight?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The matchup is great. The Rangers have been pretty bad on the road, 4-8-2 this season. Louis Domingue has been fantastic at home, 7-1-0 with a .927 save percentage. The price is going to be this high. I'm surprised it's not like 8.4, 8.5 in this spot. The thing, again, with Domingue, you're going to see very high ownership from him tonight. So if he doesn't come through, that's a lot of salary to blow through. Henrik Lundqvist has played a little bit better on the not better, but he's playing okay this season on the other side. And he's 6,900, more of a GPP play, very, very strong GPP play, though. If he performs, that's where you're going to get your leverage. But Domingue is more of the chalk play. I would consider him your cash game guy. Martin Jones of the Sharks, a little bit better, though. He's a little cheaper at 8,000 at home. Good matchup against the Devils, like I said.
All right, before you peace out, hit us with your slate-approved pick.
All right, give me the old Wisconsin native Joe Pavelski tonight. Shark swinger. He's at 6,400. He's been scoring goals lately, a lot of goals. Devils, again, I keep saying this. You gotta team up on the Devils. They just haven't been playing great hockey. Earlier in the season against the Devils in a loss, Pavelski scored. He's got 6 goals, I think, in his past 10 games. So, yeah, he's a guy that I'm looking at in my Shark stacks a lot. You can pair him with Evander Kane. They have Evander Kane back on his wing at 5.5. Yeah, Pavelski, definitely putting one in the net tonight.
All righty. Thank you, Ben, very much. We got a special guest joining us in the studio next to talk Champions League. But first, here's Mike Francesa previewing tonight's Monday Night Football game with some dude named Brendan.
Mike Francesa back with us to wrap up Week 14 in the NFL. Catch Mike in the afternoons on WFAN Radio in New York City. All right, Mike, Monday Night Football, interesting matchup. Vikings, Seahawks. Are the Vikings just not as good as we expected? And then on the other end, is Seattle, the Seahawks, maybe they're just a little bit better than we thought?
Well, first of all, I think Coach of the Year honors should go to Pete Carroll for what he's done with that team this year. I think it's sensational. I think with where he looked, I thought we were looking at like 6 wins. I really did. I thought they were missing too many pieces. Pete, and the way the running game has come together, you knew the quarterback could make plays, but they've done a sensational job. They're for real. They are a legitimate team. They're not the same team. They're not the same defense, but they have a heck of a running game now, and they're able to control things with it. And their quarterback makes big plays, so they are a real threat. As for Minnesota, I see real problems there. Number one, it's no secret there's a big fight going on there in terms of how they're running that offense. Zim is not happy with his coordinator, and he wants to run the ball more. Defensive coaches often do want to run the ball more. But you brought a quarterback in, you paid him a ton of money, you got wide receivers who put up big numbers, and that's always a yin and a yang, and sometimes the owners get involved in that. Now, I don't know if the owner's involved in that, but I know there's a tug of war going on there, is how they want to run that offense, and I think it's really hurting that team. So I think that's a factor. Minnesota's got the better two-way team, but I wouldn't be surprised right now. Seattle's a much more together team, and I wouldn't be surprised they win.
Kirk Cousins has thrown for over 3,400 yards, 23 touchdowns. So you saw him plenty in the NFC East. How would you grade his first season in Minnesota?
He's been pretty good. You know, I've never been the biggest Cousins fan. I didn't want the Jets to pay him. I think he can play in this league. I just don't think he's a top guy. I never have thought he was. I never feel push to shove he's going to make the play that you need. While the quarterback on the other side in this game, he makes the plays that you need. And I think that's the difference. I think Cousins will put up numbers. I think he'll always make a big paycheck. I'm just not sure he'll ever take his team anywhere. And I think that's what you want to see. And I've never seen that out of Cousins. That's why I've never been a big fan. So to me, he's kind of and maybe some people feel this is unfair. I think he's a numbers hang. I've always felt that. I think that, and numbers hang is a quarterback that pays, but they don't win. And I don't see him winning right now. I see him hanging up numbers.
Has the demise of the Seattle defense been too overstated this season? I bring that up because they're in the middle of the pack in yards allowed, but top 10 in points allowed and second in turnover differential.
What they've been able to do is two things. Their defense is stayed away from the big play, and their running game has controlled a lot of games and controlled and kept the other teams off the field. So the fact that they've been able to do that has really helped them. And they're a different team, but they've really played to their ability this year, about as well as any team in the league. And the way I judge coaching is how close to maximizing your talent can you get. This year, Pete Carroll's about maximized his talent about as well as anybody in the NFL. Now, he'll never get near a Coach of the Year award because that goes to the guy with the big record. But I think he's been as good a coach with the talent he has on hand as anybody in the league.
No question. They've won 3 in a row. Not many star names are popping off that roster.
Great job. He and the quarterback have done a great job keeping that together, and they're the culture. They're why you win. Now, any franchise, you always look down the middle. You win because of 3 things: owner, quarterback, coach. That's why you win. And their owner obviously just passed away, so we'll have a new one there. But that coach and that quarterback who know how to win are winning, and they're keeping that thing together, and they've done a great job. They really deserve a tremendous amount of credit. Pete and I have had our differences, but I can tell you he's done a very good job with this one.
Yeah, he and Russell Wilson are going to try for another win tonight to go to 8-5. Mike Francesa, thanks for your time over the weekend, and thanks for your thoughts tonight. We'll talk to you again on Friday.
Thanks. Take care.
Welcome back to The Sweat, everyone. That's not Jessie.
Nope.
He is one of my favorite human beings on the planet, though. Len Don Diego here to make us all feel just a little bit smarter about tomorrow's 6-game Champions League slate. If you don't mind, I'd love to start it forward. Who are your top choices for tomorrow? And most importantly, Len, why?
So tomorrow's the last game of the group stage for the teams that are playing. So basically this is put up or shut up. Teams are going to get eliminated. They're going to advance to the next round. So you have to think about incentives. So that's why I think Mauro Icardi is one of the best choices at forward for Inter Milan. They need to win to advance, and they need some help from Barcelona to beat Tottenham. Barcelona is a favorite in that game. Icardi is one of the most likely forwards on the slate to score goals. It is a team that needs to score multiple goals. They're going to be very offensive. I think he's a great player to lock in at the forward spot and start off your lineup there.
All right, we're just going to keep working our way down here. Who's your guy? Who would you roster in midfield?
Yeah, this is a really interesting slate, right? You have both Lionel Messi and Neymar available at the midfield spot. They're both also forward eligible. They're both very expensive, but they're also 2 of the best players in the world. You have to think that Neymar is a really good place to start your lineup. PSG has not qualified yet for the knockout stage. They have to go to Belgrade and get a win or a Liverpool loss, but PSG is going to do whatever they can to win. They should win by multiple goals, and you want someone like Neymar who has something like a 25 or 30-point floor. He's going to be crossing the ball. He's likely to score multiple goals. He scored a hat-trick in the first side of this fixture so far. So Neymar, to me, is the best choice, with Messi not as inclined to score multiple goals. Barcelona already won their group. They're advancing.
All right, which defender catches your eye and can help everyone watching make some money?
Yeah, I think 2 defenders, both for PSG. They're wing-backs. They're going to attack quite a bit. It's Juan Bernat and Thomas Meunier. They're going to go up and down the flanks in this game. If you can afford them, and lineup construction is going to be really tough because there are a lot of really great expensive plays, but I think if you build your team focusing on the PSG wingbacks, you're going to get a lot of points from the defender position. Both these wingbacks, Bernat and Meunier, scored over double digits against Belgrade in their last game.
So much talk about scoring goals. What about the dudes whose job it is to stop them?
Yeah, so I've said before, goalie doesn't matter in daily fantasy, so fill out the rest of your roster and see what happens.
Okay.
So you can do one of 2 things. You can spend on an expensive goalie, which I'm not recommending, or fill in where you can. You can get Hugo Lloris from Tottenham for $4,500. He's likely going to face a lot of shots against Barcelona. Tottenham is in a win and in situation. He can pitch a shutout, and if he does at $4,500, that's 18 or 20 points, and you probably just won some big bucks.
All right, so that's the last spot you need to be filling in on the roster. That's what you said.
Spend
money elsewhere, baby.
I spend it elsewhere. You got Neymar. You got the stars on the slate. There are
That's
no
the
stars
flopping
at
guy.
goalie.
That's the guy who flops a lot.
He flops a lot, but he's the best player in the world. He can do things that no one else can. Frankly, I think he gets bored out there. It's like me and pickup basketball. I get bored. I can score from anywhere.
Oh, wow. Very
Sometimes I like to have a little fun on the court.
Okay.
It's fine. It's like Neymar.
Throw that weight around. I like that. Finally, before you head home, how about your slate-approved pick, the guy you're going to be rostering no matter what?
Sure. I said it before. It's Neymar, and I'm going to cheat a little bit here. It's PSG. Start your lineup with players from Paris. They're a multi-goal favorite. They need to win this game. There's no better situation than to have motivated players in a must-win situation to advance in the Champions League knockout stages from a team this good. Look at the lineup. Beyond Neymar, you have Angel Di Maria, Edison Cavani. There's some cheaper players. Look there, and you'll build a high-scoring team.
All right, Len Don Diego, a champion, a real-life champion in the flesh, and apparently on the basketball court at maybe your local YMCA. Look for him there. Appreciate everything you've done for us here today, man. And all you guys at home, hang tight. NBA Tears of Joy is next, right after Pat Mayo delivers some running back waiver wire advice.
For running backs going into the week, I think that there are, because of injury, there's 2 guys that you can pick up and play. Chris Ivory's number 1.
Yep.
Bad matchup against Detroit, who has actually a pretty good run defense.
They've been much better lately, yeah.
Elijah McGuire, number 2. I have Kenneth Dixon at number 3.
Yeah, because all they want to do is run the football.
He's Buck Allen now.
He is. Also, he got the red zone opportunity, the rushing touchdown. That's another guy that stole some work. And there was Alfred Blue was another one who stepped in for Miller. I know Miller had the touchdown late, but Blue had one. There was a lot of just other guys coming in, and I noticed from Dixon, Gus Bus was still fine. He still led the way in carries. He was okay.
But he only played, 44% of the snaps? And he gets no catches.
No catches. So I think there's more upside to roll out Dixon. Like, I think if I could choose the two, if I was in a PPR format, I'm rolling out Dixon.
Because Ty Montgomery's still the one catching the ball.
He is, but Dixon is still, he's still on the field. Like, did he not have a couple targets? I think he still had some work in the passing game. And for Montgomery, he was running the ball a couple times and just getting stuffed. And I was watching that game. I was like, why don't you go back to Gus? Or why don't you go to Dixon? Like, Montgomery's not doing anything for you.
Yeah, Dixon had 1 catch.
Just the 1 catch?
1 catch, 1 target.
Okay.
And Montgomery only had 3 targets in the game. They just don't pass.
That's the thing.
So
they just run the football.
I think that the big knife in everyone is Lamar Jackson. He had 13 rushes. So he just takes away from everyone's bottom line. I think that I would still go with Gus Bus before any of them, only because
it's just guaranteed.
16 carries yesterday. He's not going to get less than 15 in any game.
Yeah.
It's just you need to kind of reconsider all of these running backs. Like, no one's playing that much anymore. And even stupid Barkley. How many yards could he have rushed for?
Like 400. Honestly, though.
Why not let him do it? Like, what else are you playing for?
Yeah.
Let him break the rushing record.
That's my one problem with Barkley. Like, I played him a lot in cash. I fade him in tournaments. It turned out to be the wrong call, but
it depended on who you replaced him with. You replaced him with McCaffrey or Elliott, it was fine.
Yeah, it was. Those were the three big guys to spend up for. If you spend up for Kamara, it didn't work out for you. But for Barkley, that's been my one problem is he's so good and that ceiling is so high, but it gets capped from what I've seen over the past couple of weeks with the Giants. It's like a couple weeks ago against Philadelphia. They were rolling in that football game. He had 4 carries in the second half. Like, it was almost like, okay, we don't want to win this game. We proved that we can. We did a good job in the first half. We want to pick. We want to look at the future here. And that game yesterday was just blown out. Maybe if it was closer, we see a little bit of Barkley, but he hasn't been getting a lot of play in the second half lately. And it's what could he do?
The Giants once again lose the second half. I mentioned on the spread show. Just don't bother betting the game. Just bet against the Giants in the second half.
Right. It's because it just seemed maybe they're doing it the right way. I don't know.
I think they tested out a backup yesterday.
Yeah.
They got Josh Johnson.
Yeah, that guy finished as a top 5 quarterback. Unbelievable. But, Barkley is going to be my second pick, I think.
We'll have to go over this at some point.
Yeah.
We'll really hash out the rankings. We'll do an early look. Maybe do it with Jake.
But he could have 100% lit up that team way more than he did.
Welcome back to the Sweat, where we had
no.
We have now our NBA panel, which now is going to consist of Alistair Clean. You saw him earlier on the program.
We did see him earlier.
Tim Finnegan of DK Live, both those gentlemen, and Jeffrey Eisenbahn, host of the 102 podcast. Gentlemen, before we get your take on Tears of Joy, is there any late breaking lineup or injury news that you have your eye on leading up to lock? Go ahead, Mr. McLean.
Well, apparently the other Alex must have suffered an injury because he got left out of the second panel.
Yeah.
But the only real news to break during the show so far has been that Anthony Davis is in. Everything else we sort of knew ahead of time, or teams officially saying that people who are questionable are still questionable.
Tim, you look awfully comfortable. Is there any news that you've been paying attention to or keeping your eye on as you're just chillaxing before tip?
Yeah, actually, I'm keeping an eye on the Timberwolves. Robert Covington, he's technically listed as probable to play, but the caveat there is it's Tom Thibodeau, and Covington was listed as probable to play on Saturday night, and he ended up being a late scratch right before a lock. And the Timberwolves are playing the Warriors, so lock isn't until 10:30 p.m.
Okay.
So if Covington doesn't play, I guess he's a game time decision. Derrick Rose started for Covington last time out, so that would be a guy that you can get into your lineup. He scored over 40 DraftKings points. And he had like a big boost in minutes too. So that's what I would look for, Covington.
Jeff, what should people at home be keeping an eye on or be aware of here before lineups start locking?
Well, that Pelicans-Celtics game, I mean, it seems like no one's going out there tonight.
It's ridiculous, man.
No, you're missing Kyrie Irving, Al Horford, Gordon Hayward. So, be careful. I don't know. We'll talk about it, but choosing Pelicans because that might be a blowout on the road in Boston. And we'll see how much Anthony Davis can actually go, as that was mentioned. He's got a hip injury, but he's playing, no minutes restriction.
All right, guys, now that we have that out of the way, let's jump into tiers of joy, starting with tier 5. Jeff, you got a lot of options here, so who's your top pick?
Well, it's what I just said. Drew Holiday for the Pelicans will be playing against no Kyrie Irving with the Celtics, and we don't know really. I know they say no minutes restriction on Anthony Davis. I'm a little skeptical on that. If that game is a runaway late, we'll see how much Anthony Davis plays. Drew Holiday really since the playoffs last season just has not let up. He's having his best season now at age 28 for the Pelicans. I see this as, a marquee game on the road. He's scored over 30 points in 2 of his last games. He's got over 10 assists in 2 of his last 4 games. So I'm rolling with Drew Holiday there.
Tim, who speaks to you in tier 5?
I like Zach LaVine. I know that Chris Dunn and Bobby Portis are actually coming back tonight, but they're not coming off. They're coming off the bench, so they really shouldn't tap into LaVine's usage too much. So the Bulls have a matchup against the Kings, who play really fast, so it'll increase more possessions for fantasy scoring. The league actually has they have a tracking system where they measure shot contests. And the Kings rank really poorly in contesting shots, so they allow a lot of wide open shots. So LaVine's shot quality should be pretty good in this matchup. And like I said, the fast pace should give him extra possessions for extra points or assists potentially. So I think I'm leaning toward LaVine in that tier.
Rick Lean, tier 5. Who do you like?
I'm also LaVine. This was a process of elimination tier for me. I talked earlier about how I want to stay away from Drew because the Celtics injuries make their defense better, even if it hurts their offense. I don't want a young Laker in a LeBron emotional game. I don't want an injured Jamal Murray. And I refuse to believe that Tristan Thompson is the second coming of Andre Drummond. That only left a couple of options. I like Aaron Gordon, but give me LaVine, second highest over-under of the night. And this crazy weekend of drama in the Bulls camp, LaVine seemed to have led a revolt against everyone who works in Chicago outside of a pair of shorts. So I like his sort of emotional investment here.
All right, before we jump down to tier 6, Jeff, I must say it's a pretty sick setup you got going there, dude.
I appreciate that. I thought, I also had to pull out the bomber jacket from my closet. It's not like I'm wearing this around New York City right now, but it felt like a good opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Great
I
opportunity.
feel you on the bomber jacket. My wife made me buy one a few weeks ago, and actually I like wearing it now.
Yeah, that's exciting.
At least I have to act
fashion.
like I do.
Nice,
It's fashion,
buddy.
Susan. Look it up. So, Jeff, who do you like in tier 6?
Well, tier 6, I wrestled with this one because it's, Luka Doncic is just sitting right there, and he's the one that it feels like a trap pick, honestly. And every reason it shouldn't, because Luka Doncic has been outstanding at home. The Magic are, an average team playing without Evan Fournier tonight. But the guy that I'm taking is Donovan Mitchell. And maybe it's just because I'm going with a conservative old school sort of pick. But Donovan Mitchell is playing against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And there's this rivalry that the Jazz and Thunder have, going back to the postseason last year. And again, maybe it's what I feel comfortable with, these marquee sort of shootout matchups. Donovan Mitchell last year in the playoffs averaged 28 points and 7 rebounds against the Thunder. I like him coming in with a little bit of an edge, and I think he's kind of got the sophomore slump out of him right now, and he's playing better as of late.
All right, Tim, thoughts maybe on Jason Tatum here? Again, he's going to be, sounds like a lot of minutes.
I love Tatum in this matchup. There's no Kyrie Irving, there's no Al Horford, and the Pelicans are also a very poor defensive team. They allow a lot of points to opponents. They're not good with the shot quality metrics, like I was mentioning before. The league will basically measure the closest defender to the shooter, and the Pelicans allow a lot of wide open shots. So Tatum should get a lot of looks in this matchup, good looks in this matchup. Also, you can think about Domantas Sabonis. He's playing the Wizards. The Wizards are the worst rebounding team in the league by the percentage of missed shots that they grab. I think they're also in the bottom 3 in points allowed to opponents. So Sabonis, too, either him or Tatum are probably my 2 top guys in tier 6.
All right, who you going to roster here, Alex?
Yeah, Tatum. With the Celtics playing 4-on-5, they're going to need Tatum to carry the offense. Last time Kyrie was out, Tatum had 45.3 DraftKings points, and that was with Horford active. He's going to really need to carry the offense. They make these tiers before the Celtics decided that they were going to skip this game.
All righty. Thanks, guys. We got a quick break here, but you'll want to stick around because the moment you've all been harassing us for in the comments section is coming up. Monday Night Showdown picks are next.
Hey, it's Brendan Glasheen in with your DraftKings Fantasy Flash. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports the Lakers are trying to add veteran forward Trevor Ariza. Woj also says the Lakers and Suns have been working to reach an agreement with a third team that would take on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope as a part of a potentially larger deal. Okay, Suns have lost 22 of their last 26. They're aiming to go young. We'll save that for another day. As for the Lakers, imagine another veteran added to this current cast of characters. Tyson Chandler, Rondo, Lance Stevenson, Michael Beasley. LeBron's a veteran, but he's LeBron, so yeah. Ariza's unique, though. He provides versatility. He can score, rebound, defend. The 33-year-old has been underwhelming this year in the desert, averaging just 25 DK points a game. A change of scenery, specifically playing for a team with playoff expectations, would be beneficial. So even though LA is already vet-heavy, Ariza is a wing that the young guys like Josh Hart, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, when he's healthy, they can look up to him. It's a good fit for the player and the team.
All right, last block of the show. It's the moment many of you have been waiting for. I will say I've checked the comments on Facebook and YouTube. Not as many angry people this week.
Yeah, just, people kindly asking if they'd asked, had they talked about tonight's game yet?
Yeah.
No, but here we go.
But that moment is right now.
Yeah.
Showdown picks for tonight's Vikings Seahawks game. Go ahead, Jess.
Jeff, Reed, and Rosalie are back, starting with your captain's pick. So who's your pick here, Rosalie?
I'm going with Diggs at 16,200. I know most people are going to be on Thielen just because we're used to him getting the most amount of targets. It's been changed up as of recently, and I like Diggs' matchup better too. The Seahawks are really good against the slot receiver, and they give up the least amount of fantasy points to slot receivers on the season. Not to say that Thielen's not still going to get the targets, because obviously he is. I just think Diggs is going to get more opportunity because on the perimeter, they give up the fourth most fantasy points to those receivers, and Diggs spends 75% of his time there. He's going to be lining up most of the time with Trey Flowers, and he gives up almost a half a fantasy point per route in coverage. And if you look at it, 3 out of the last 4 games, Seattle's given up over 300 passing yards, including almost 400 to San Francisco last week. Over the past 4 games, Diggs has 6 targets, 11 targets, 18 targets, 11 targets, and he's averaging 10 yards per catch reception over the past 4 games. So I'm feeling pretty good about Diggs tonight.
All right, Rosalie has me pretty convinced. Jeff, who are you going to captain?
Yeah, Diggs good. Seattle secondary bad. Diggs was almost my pick too, but I like Seattle in this game. And if you like Seattle, that means they're going to run the ball. They've run the ball over 51% of the time on offense. Guess who they're going to run the ball with? It's got to be Chris Carson. I know the matchup doesn't look that good on paper, but again, Seattle's at home. They're 3-point favorites. They like to run the ball. If that happens, Chris Carson's going to have a big game. I think he's actually going to be a bit of a contrarian pick too. And if you put him in your captain spot, you're going to save a lot of money, and you can come back with some of those Minnesota passing options too. So I don't love the player. Maybe the matchup doesn't look good, but I do like Seattle here, and I like Chris Carson in the captain spot tonight.
Reed, your captain, please.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Rosalie here with staying on the Minnesota side. Kirk Cousins at 15-3. If you look at Seattle, last 3 or 4 games, they've given up 300-plus pass yards. And when you look at DK fantasy points, of those 4, they're averaging 25 DK fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. And Rosalie's right. You look at Diggs, people might be on Thielen, and I think that matchup is one that they're going to exploit. Trey Flowers is a converted safety to corner. He's slow. Like Jeff was saying, secondary in Seattle, bad. Receivers in Minnesota, good. So if that's the case, give me the guys throwing them the ball. Kirk Cousins at 15-3.
I really like this new just this good, this bad. That's how we should just talk from now on, guys.
Reed, do you think Diggs scores more than 1 point tonight?
if he goes out there and he
Yeah.
catches one ball for 10 yards, then I think whoever's asking that question might lose their Week 14 playoff matchup.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
That's
Okay,
probably
just-
Aaron asking that question.
Yeah, man, he's all over the place. Hey, Jeff, where can you save value on this slate?
There's a couple interesting spots. I think Aldrick Robinson, though, for the Vikings is definitely a value play, especially in those big field GPPs. This guy's just a good at catching long passes. I mean, he's just a good downfield option. And again, we want to attack the Seattle secondary. So is he going to get peppered with targets? He got 9 last week. He's definitely starting to play more over Laquan Treadwell, which is nice. Not really a volume play, but he does bring the big play potential. Again, the Vikings pass the ball a lot. They're underdogs in this game. They project to be passing more. Robinson more of that third wide receiver. Definitely should have a good opportunity against this weaker secondary for the big play. I like him at 2,200.
Need some value here, young lady. Help us out.
It's fun. I have the same guy that Jeff does there. For every reason I said before on Diggs, who's going to be on the other side? Aldrick Robinson, like we said. He had 9 targets last week, and he averages like 10 yards per reception. Seattle gives up the 6th most fantasy points to receivers over the past 4 games. There's so many reasons to go with Aldrick Robinson as your value play. If you want another one, I like Seattle's D as well. 3,800, I believe they're at. They create a lot of turnovers, and the Minnesota Vikings have been giving up a lot of points to opposing defenses as well. So, but I like Aldrick Robinson if you want something.
If you're going to play Carson, play the Seattle D too.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Little bonus. Reed, go ahead. Feel free to chime in here.
Yeah. 2 scenarios. Baldwin in. I like David Moore at 5,200. He sees the most target.
Baldwin's out.
Okay, if Baldwin's out, perfect. If that's the case, then I really like a guy in Jerron Brown at 1,800. He's going to be really, really cheap. You see his red zone targets increased by 12% from 10 to 22. And so they're looking at this guy in the red zone. David Moore becomes a little bit less contrarian. He's probably going to see that coverage along with Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett obviously is too expensive. So Jerron Brown at 1,800 is someone that I'm looking at to get value.
All right, and before we wrap the show, give us an early Week 15 thought. Which player or players are you looking at due to a good matchup in Week 15? Jeff, start us off here.
You want me to just throw out Week 15 stuff? Well, I mentioned the Pittsburgh offense. Look, they're going to be throwing more. I like Antonio Brown for a bounce back week. I think most people might be a little bit scared of going back to Antonio, but I like him in that matchup. I mean, the weather looks good. I know Steve Buchanan will be very interested to hear that early weather forecast, but I like Antonio Brown for a big bounce back week and
Reed?
pairing him with Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, okay. Yep. Reed?
Yeah, if Breida is out again, I think Jeff Wilson is in a good spot getting Seattle off of this short week. Yeah, I think he's in a good spot. Bills defense as well, going against Lions. I think at 2,800, there's someone that I'm looking at as well. I always like to pay down a little bit, and that Bills defense really, really good, 3rd in overall DVOA. So those are the 2.
Rosalie, Week 15.
I'm going bounce back as well, but I'm going with DeAndre Hopkins. He had a really disappointing this week, other than the touchdown he got, and he takes on the Jets next week, who give up a lot of fantasy points to wide receivers. So I'm looking for a big bounce back week from Hopkins next week.
I'm seeing Doug Baldwin's out tonight too with a hip injury.
Oh,
So.
I will say too. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Rashad Penny's playing though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reed,
I will say
Rashad Penny playing does bump down Carson a bit. It makes him a little more risky. But again, if you are going to play Carson in the captain's spot, or you like that call, play him with the Seattle D, because like Rosalie said, Kirk Cousins, he likes to fumble.
Reed, do you have anything you'd like to add with Doug Baldwin being out? Does that change anything for you?
No, I mean, like I said, David Moore, obviously Russ Wilson has shown an affinity to throw to David Moore. If you look at this Minnesota defense, they're not giving up a ton to the deep ball. So while we like Tyler Lockett, right, he's that deep ball threat, that touchdown rate has to come down a little bit. We haven't seen this from Tyler Lockett. Well, he's got 8 or 9 touchdowns on the season. He's going to be hard to trust at his price tag. If looking at next week too, even Dalvin Cook going against Miami, barring him falling apart tonight and getting injured, or if it's Latavius Murray, I like the running backs in Minnesota going to Miami or facing Miami at that price. I think it's about 6,500 next year. So that's another Week 15 matchup that I like.
Cool beans.
Yeah,
I think
guys.
we're done. We got like 30 seconds
time.
left.
So we got to let you guys go. Thank you so much for your help. The Sweat, you guys. We're going to be back tomorrow night, 6
Night,
p.m.
guys. Good night, Jeff.
As always, Good night to our friends. We'll be back on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere you watch The Sweat, 6 p.m. tomorrow. I can't wait.
I know.
Are you going to give me medicine? God.
Here is a vitamin C emergency.
Thank you so
much.
much.
You have the flu.
I don't have the
That
flu,
will
and
not
I'll be
fix
back
it.
tomorrow at 6.